Hi everyone, it's Emily, and like many collectors, it didn't take a long time to build up a sizable physical collection. But last year I decided to put some effort in and actually play through some of them. So today I wanted to talk about the stack of games here and share what I thought about them and whether or not I want to still keep them in my collection. Because despite maybe what it looks like, I don't like owning a ton of physical things that, I have no joy in owning. I really try to strive towards a curated collection, and playing through these games is part of the equation to see, what things bring me joy and what things I may need to part with. So I have quite the stack of games here. So let's get to the first one, which is Psychonauts, the HD remaster. It doesn't say HD remaster on here, but I wanted to replay Psychonauts because I still actually own back there my childhood copy of Psychonauts 2 on the PS2, but I wanted to relive it before I experienced Psychonauts 2, which has also been in my backlog, and you might see in the stack here if you have some eagle eyes. But Psychonauts, I got this physical copy through the IM8-bit Collector's Edition that comes with the first game and the second game. So that's what this variant cover is, if you're curious. But what can I say? I think I still love Psychonauts. It has its issues when it comes to the platforming bits. The meat level in particular, if those who know, I don't know how I got through that, to be honest, when I was playing through it. But I love the story of Raz and all the other kids attending summer camp to try to become Psychonauts. The instructors were great too. There's just a lot of heart in this Double Fine game, and I think it definitely still holds up, and I'm really glad I replayed it. I guess because I have this game in two forms, the PS4 version as well as the PS2 version, I might not necessarily want to keep this in my physical collection, but I think for the time being, I want to keep it because Psychonauts, I think, is still one of my top favorite games ever. And even though I own multiple copies of this game now, the HD remastered version is very nice. I know some people have qualms with owning Psychonauts on a PlayStation and not an Xbox, but as someone who only owns PlayStation, not Xboxes, it makes sense for me, I think, to keep it here. And just cherish the memories of how great this game is and how just memorable a lot of these characters are. So definitely one I'll be keeping in my collection. Next is the first RPG that I streamed. You'll notice a lot of these games are ones that I live streamed because that's frankly just how I'm able to fit in a lot of gaming these days, is through my live streams, both on YouTube and on Twitch. But I have also another IM8-bit version. I guess we have some IM8-bit physicals here. Sea of Stars with the nice slipcover. So it comes with this little map pamphlet, which is cute. But this is what the cover looks like for the Switch version. And this game, I would say it was kind of overhyped when it initially came out, but it's beautiful. Like, I love the, the pixel art and just how rich the environments are. The characters and writing and kind of where they go on their journey, I thought the characters were well done, minus your two protagonists. They're a little bit, shonen-y, where they don't have that much personality, but they're friends, and, the characters around them had plenty of personality, I think, to make up for that. And I did like how they went on a journey visiting so many different places. I thought that was really cool. The whole kind of goal, I'm trying not to spoil too much about the story because I do feel like this is a game you probably should go in with fewer expectations when it comes to the story and plot. But I did find it pretty satisfying to finish. The ending credits, too, were very memorable. I still haven't played the DLC, the Watchmaker something. Yes, I forget what it's called. And unfortunately, it is not available on the cart here. So one thing I'm going to be noting about a lot of these physical releases is whether or not they're complete, because I feel like if there's a game that requires multiple patches or some sort of internet connection to play, it's less desirable to have personally in my collection because I only have so much shelf space, and I'd rather have it kept with true physical media than something that's lacking, even though I may love the game. For this one, I think it's a good solid B. B+ game. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a lot of fun to stream. When it comes to the combat, it was kind of innovative with all the different movesets of the characters. I'm just not very good with time sequences. I got better, I think, as I progressed, but that was definitely an adjustment period for me to try to get, the time presses down correctly. But yeah, I think this is a game I still want to keep in my collection. I kind of wish, though, that it was more complete. There are various different physical versions of this. This one is more complete than the Japanese or Asian English version that initially released. So that was nice. It's still missing, the free DLC that's included. So I wouldn't be surprised if there will be a new physical release coming out for it. And whether or not I want to trade it for the one I have, maybe I will just keep the one I have, because technically this is the experience I have played. I just haven't played or downloaded the free expansion. So I think with all that said, definitely one I want to keep in the collection. I do like having a lot of the indie side of releases, not just have the big heavy hitters in my collection. I do like some variety. So this is one I do want to keep, and also the slipcover is quite nice. I do like it. Next, another Switch game is Night in the Woods. I got this physically from Limited Run, one of the last few Limited Run games I've bought. I've been trying to wean myself off of it because they just released too many things. But this was actually a nice narrative-driven game that I enjoyed streaming as well. And we've seen, I think, a lot of, both in video games and just other media, games that centered around that weird transition period when you graduate high school and you maybe come back to your hometown and you don't feel like it's home necessarily anymore, or you feel kind of like stuck in between where you're supposed to be transitioning into, real life. And I think this game captured it very well and kind of delved into a lot of those sort of angsty kind of moments you have as a young adult. And some things I still relate to today, to be honest, even though they are teenagers in this game. But overall, I think this was very nice. It's not like a super long game, which is fine. I don't think it needs to be super long. It took me a couple sessions, I think, on stream to beat it. Visually, I like it as well. And I love the fall vibes, too. Like, there's like a seasonality kind of moment in it of like early fall into winter. That's also very fitting for the game. So overall, this is actually a pretty good physical release. I don't think there's any patches you need for this, which is amazing. I like that in a lot of my, recent physical media pickups. But yeah, this is another one I'll be keeping, which maybe is no surprise. I'm sure a lot of you will be like, oh, you're probably going to keep all of them, aren't you? There are some in here I won't be keeping, just to let you know. It's not all just going to be ones I keep. But I feel like a lot of us, especially if you are, been collecting for a while, you kind of know what your gaming tastes are. It's very easy to kind of pick and choose what games you think you'll like. Very rarely have I think, picked out a game, at least in the last couple of years, to play that I disliked. So I'm glad I have that ability, but also I'm wondering if there's some things in my backlog I've been avoiding because I just know I won't necessarily like them. So hopefully this coming year, I'll get to those and kind of weed them out because we got to make room, right, for new releases and also some other games that I've been thinking about that I never got around to picking up. So I just, the constant curation effort. But yeah, Night in the Woods, I do recommend this, especially if you like narrative-driven games. There's some light platforming and kind of point-and-click adventure elements in this, but it's a good. Next is a whole different type of game than I've been sharing, and that is Hollow Knight. This is another game that I've just had in my backlog for a long time. And I do have the version that, if you look in the back, if it has the this yellow screenshot, that means this has the most complete version where you don't have to, there's not as many patches you need to necessarily download. And now that I own a Switch 2, it doesn't look like they're going to release a Hollow Knight Switch 2 physical release. Instead, they have a free upgrade path. And for me, I've kind of, given up the idea that a lot of Switch 2 releases, especially if they had a Switch 1 version, I don't necessarily need the Switch 2 edition. Like, it would be nice not to do those downloads for the upgrade path and all that, but for now, I'm kind of content with what I have and not constantly trying to upgrade my physical games, especially in my Switch collection. There are a few exceptions I'll have, but for the most part, that's not something I'm trying to strive towards, at least at this moment. Hollow Knight, though, this was my first ever Metroidvania game that I beat, and I also beat it on stream, which was very exciting. And I actually got really into this. I was surprised by how much I was taken to it because a lot of the games I tend to gravitate towards are more narrative, story heavy. While there is a lot of lore in Hollow Knight, it's more subtle. You have to kind of read between the lines of what the lore is. They don't necessarily, have a lot of characters that, have constant dialogue flowing and rich narratives in that way. But despite all that, I kind of like the quietness of Hollow Knight and just learning more as you explore. And it definitely tickled, I think, the exploration sort of side of my brain that I also love in games. I also am very interested in maybe revisiting this because I'm trying to remember what percentage I got. I think I got like 70%. I forget. Like at the end, it tells you what percent of the game that you completed. But I want to say I got 70%. I don't remember. It is in my live stream, VODs, if you are interested in seeing how that turned out. But yeah, like I never played, like there's some Souls-like elements in this that were very interesting and maybe sometimes frustrating at parts, especially while trying to live stream this. But there's something very satisfying once you do overcome those. And I also love the graphical style of Hollow Knight. All the bugs are great. I've yet to play Silksong, but I'm kind of waiting maybe for the physical release. I imagine it's coming out this year. If not this year, probably 2027. I might pick it up then and play it. But yeah, Hollow Knight, I think it is rightfully so a very well loved game. And definitely one that I enjoyed and one that has inspired me to play more Metroidvanias. But yeah, one I will be keeping too. Next is the first PS5 game, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. I have the reversible cover out because I was kind of tired of the white spines on my PS5 shelf. But what can I say? I really enjoyed this. I know some people are a little bit mixed about the first remake for the Final Fantasy VII trilogy that's still in the works, but I thought it was just so cool to see these characters come to life in a new way, expanding Midgar section of the game. It was linear, but honestly, the first game, like the original, was kind of linear too. So I didn't really fault it for that. There were some really cool combat things. Like once I got all the different button combinations and kind of the quick combinations, it was very satisfying, especially I played mostly as Cloud. But Tifa was also fun to play as. I was not as good with the other characters, I'll admit. And when you get to the Intergrade DLC part, Yuffie was a gem. She's great. I think she's hilarious. One of my favorite characters, for sure. And her combat style was also very fun. Very frantic, but very fun. So, yeah, I've been definitely into the remakes for Final Fantasy VII and seeing how different they are to the OG7, and I've definitely been on that train and will continue to part 3. So this will stay in the collection. What's cool about this one is, of course, it does have, the base game on the disc on the PS5, but unfortunately, I already used the code, so that's why I'm okay showing it here. But the intermission is on this piece of paper. It's not actually on the disc, which they should have put it on the disc. But it's possible they might release a better physical version once part 3 comes out, like after a while, do some sort of bundle. But I don't know. With the way physical media has been going, I'm kind of less confident that will happen. So for now, I'm okay owning this version of the game. I also own the PS4 version of this because I did buy the deluxe version. I don't know if you could tell, but it's back there. I might try to sell that because I just don't need it. Right now it's tucked away inside the box. But I do also like having games I really enjoy, having their collector's, editions. So I might keep it. I'm a little bit torn still. So that's still a maybe, but at least the PS5 version I am keeping. Let's move on to another Final Fantasy game, and that is Final Fantasy X and X-2. This is the Asian English version. You'll notice there's no, ESRB there. And what's unique about this physical edition is that unlike other regions, X-2 is actually on the cart. It's a larger Switch cart. And so it's not like we saw with Intergrade here. It's not on a piece of paper to download. So that's nice. Another caveat I want to mention is because I played the PC version of this. And so I actually used a mod while streaming Final Fantasy X. In that when you do this, your AP collecting during battles, everyone gets AP. You don't have to keep constantly switching out characters for everyone to utilize the AP for the sphere grids. And unfortunately, that is not something you could do on the Switch version of the game. So I've actually been contemplating whether or not to keep this on the Switch, because I played this on the PC and it was good. But I've been thinking, instead of just having the HD remaster in my collection, even though I did pay a lot to get the Asian English version, because for a while that was kind of rare to have it all on the cart here. I'm thinking maybe I should just stick with the PS2 version and buy them separately. And I do have a working PS2, and I've been really contemplating to get a RetroTink link cable so I could actually play my PS2 on a modern monitor. So that is something that I've been considering, because while I actually did enjoy Final Fantasy X, I've yet to get to X-2, but I do plan to change that sometime soon. I don't know if I necessarily need the Switch version. So this is one I'm thinking of departing with, or just not having in my collection. So that is the first one that I think might have to be purged from the shelf. Not to say it's a bad game. It's a good game. I just don't know if I need this specific version of the game on my shelf. And I'm really trying not to buy multiple versions of games, especially if they're not like a top 5 game for me. The Psychonauts game was an exception because there's not a lot of Psychonauts games. So that one's an exception. And I have a lot of great childhood memories with. My childhood memory of actually X-2 was I did not finish it. And my brother traded it into GameStop before I could actually play it. So I have more negative memories back in the past that has since been, relieved, because I ended up really enjoying 10. It was very much a moving story, and I ended up also enjoying the combat and the sphere grid. That wasn't so bad. It was more enjoyable than I was kind of worried about before we started streaming it. But yeah, I don't think I need it on the Switch 2. Next is Psychonauts 2. As I hinted at, this is a game I also played earlier this year on stream. And to be honest, as much as I love Psychonauts, the first game, I think Psychonauts 2 is even better. Like, I was wowed by this game. It was beautiful, so fun and creative. I just love the concept of, it's just a couple days passed since Raz and a few of the other kids, they just finished up their summer camp adventures. And then he becomes an intern for Psychonauts HQ. And seeing all the adults Psychonauts, I felt like it was a nice kind of way to grow up the series. But Raz is only a couple days older from when he was still a kid in summer camp. But yeah, this was great. Refined a lot of things with the platforming where it wasn't as difficult, I would say, or as aggravating, maybe it's the right word, as the first game. But yeah, there was a lot more polish to this. The combat was a bit more intuitive, and there were some cool new powers, or Psychonaut powers, you learn along the way. But yeah, love this game. So definitely keeping this. Let's continue with NieR Automata. I finally played this game, and I have the Switch version here, which it does have the DLC, which is not the Year of the Yorha edition on the cart, which is very nice. Unlike the PS4 version, which, like some of the other physicals I was talking about, has a piece of paper with a download code. So I originally actually owned this game on the PS4. I sold it, but rebought it on the Switch because of that. The only downgrade you have is that this is 30 frames per second. And if you play this on the PS4 or elsewhere, it's 60 frames per second. But to be honest, it's not that bad. It's not bad at all. And this game, again, it's another heavy hitter, I would say, in the JRPG space that is deserving. It is deserving. It's a great story, and you definitely have to play through at least A through F endings to fully appreciate this title. The combat, you could definitely, depending on what your setup configuration is and how you play it, it's a little bit button mashy / you don't necessarily need to be very good at the combat. I certainly wasn't, but it's still very fun. The whole kind of desolitude world that you go in, little moments, I think, really enhanced the overall appeal of this game. One I highly recommend as well. Yeah, again, I think I'm playing some really good games, which has been great. Definitely picking and choosing, I think, the backlog that I kind of had a feeling I would enjoy. And it's nice that they were actually, I was glad to have picked up these physical copies. The other kind of thing I should mention is I did play this mostly on Steam and not on the Switch version. I have since looked at the Switch version to see if we're to replay this, because there's actually, I've not done all the kind of joke endings because there are 23 endings. I just did the kind of the more canon endings. So I think there is some replayability in this that I would do. But yeah, I think at this point, I want to keep the Switch version, despite it probably being a better performance on other systems. But this is kind of the more complete physical we have at this point. And I'm not sure if this has a Switch 2 version or not, but I think with boost mode, this will look perfectly fine. So another one in the keep pile. Now we have the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 collection. And to be clear, I've only played Final Fantasy 6 in the Pixel Remaster collection here. And this was actually the first game that I debuted on my second channel, Softly Orbital, for anyone who's interested in kind of soft-spoken Let's Plays where I narrate everything. And basically, whatever I'm thinking, I'm saying out loud is kind of how those Let's Plays go. But this is my first ever time playing Final Fantasy VI with the Pixel Remaster, and I thought it was so good. Like, I was surprised by how much I like this. I know some people like to tout Final Fantasy VI as the best, or their favorite at least, but I was a little bit hesitant to believe them because you know how nostalgic glasses can kind of go. So I'm like, okay, Final Fantasy VI, it looks fun. I don't know if it's going to be for me though, but I'm really glad I gave it a chance and decided to do a Let's Play and just play it on my own. I played this without looking up anything except like where some of the dragons were. That was kind of the extent of what I did. But I'm really glad I did that because this was such a solid experience and very magical. Like, I don't know. I want to play more old school games, I think, from this era because there's something different about them that you don't see in a lot of modern games, especially in the JRPG landscape. I considered making a separate video about my experience with Final Fantasy VI. I still haven't done that. But if you guys are interested, let me know, and I could try to make that happen. I'm really excited now to get through 1 through 5. I know they're not all created equal compared to 6, but I'm sure I'll have some sort of enjoyment in these games and just experience them in the really pretty Pixel Remaster form. The Pixel Remaster, definitely worth getting the collection. This is the Asian English version, by the way. So it has the inside cover art, which is nice. They've since released a retail version, both on the Switch and the PS4. But yeah, I want to keep the Switch copy. Definitely a series of games I would play on the Switch. So another game I beat on stream this year. And I'm holding up actually the version I didn't play. I own physically X Nordics, but I ended up playing on PC X Proud Nordics. And so the difference between the Proud Nordics and base game is they kind of have an interwoven like side story that you can experience in Proud Nordics, where you compete with your cousin is kind of the idea, and you use various abilities that you learn throughout the game. So that's kind of why they didn't make it upgradable, because it's just interwoven throughout the whole game rather than tacked on at the end as like DLC. The other major thing I would say when it comes to Proud Nordics is that you have a much easier time when it comes to the sailing segments. The base game, I hear a lot of people say that there's not the high winds that you can just, go sailing really quickly through the huge waters, the open waters. And so it kind of makes this game a little bit more of a drag. But overall, my impressions of Ys 10, just the game itself, the story, the characters, is that I loved it. I really think it's my favorite Ys game to date, which is saying a lot because I loved Ys 8 a lot. But I just loved Adel and Karja. I think their dynamic was genius. Like how they kind of played off each other despite Adel being a silent protag, though he did kind of say things out loud in this game, more than he ever has, which was really cool to see. But the combat is very different from any Ys game that I played in that it focuses more on blocking and trying to take down enemy shields before going in with some really cool moves. But yeah, I thought how they interwoven, the Nordics, some Norse mythology, if you will, theme, and all the different islands you get to visit, and all the different characters and stories, and building up a crew to sail around with. It was so good. Like, some people like to say that this is a more Trails-ish version of Ys, and that is true to some extent because of how many characters you talk to and NPCs you interact with if you wanted to. It's still very much an Ys game. Just enhancing things that I really loved about, or really just love about Falcom games in general. So highly recommend playing Ys 10, whether it's the base game or the Proud Nordics. I think at this point, you probably should just play the Proud Nordics version because of those quality of life elements I mentioned with the, it's mostly in the sailing with the quality of life enhancements, but I think also the fishing is a little bit easier. And you do get some of that extra content throughout the story, which was fun. It was fun. I won't deny that. But I think for me, because I have the base game here and I really, really loved Ys 10 Proud Nordics, I think I am going to go ahead and upgrade my copy from the base game to the Proud version. So I don't necessarily need this, even though this is the one that came in the collector's edition I have. I'm going to keep the collector's edition content, I think, and then try to sell this and rebuy the Proud Nordics PS5 version. I think that's what I'll be doing for my collection because this is such a gem. Like, I think this is easily one of my favorite experiences I've had this year. It was just a lot of fun, honestly. So definitely recommend this game if you are new to Ys or you've been hesitant to try the newest entry. Next is one that is obviously wrapped in saran wrap here, is Tales of Berseria. This also came out with an enhanced version. They called it the remaster version, but really it's just a slight enhancement of the base game on the PS5. And the Tales games are ones I've been slowly getting into. I played Exilia last year for the first time. That was my first ever Tales game. And there were parts that I really liked and some parts I didn't like as much. Mostly the combat is still not clicking with me, I think. I do like action RPGs. This is an action RPG, Ys 10 here. But there's something about the Tales games with their combos. It feels more like a fighting game, and I don't really play fighting games, so I think that's maybe why it hasn't necessarily clicked with me yet. Out of all the Tales games I've been exposed to so far, Berseria is definitely my favorite. And I remember when I first got the hits version, I think in a haul from Bandai Namco, because I think it was on sale, like deep discount on their storefront or website. I wasn't expecting to get the hits version from them, and that's what they sent me. So I've been wanting to exchange this for the base PS4 version for a while, but now that they have the PS5 version, and that includes all the DLC, and it has those enhancements, like it has higher FPS. I think it's 120 now, though I think you had to download that. It's not on the disc. And it also has higher resolution, so it just visually would look a little bit more polished. I really liked, again, I found this before. I never really was into DLC costumes, but the pirate costumes in Berseria were a lot of fun. That's what I just had my characters in. So I think it is worth it for the pirate costumes, to be honest. And there's also some nice quality of life things that are also available up front that you could do. I made it so that when I was playing the remastered version, you have more slots for items, so you don't have to keep worrying about having full items whenever you pick things up. I always found that annoying, at least in Exilia when I was playing that one. So I do think I'm probably going to get rid of, finally, the PlayStation Hits PS4 version of Berseria and go ahead and grab the PS5 version of Berseria because I think it is a good game. I do want some Tales representation in my collection. I just don't really see all the Tales games being in my collection. But I do think Berseria, at least, I'll be getting. Exilia, I'm still not... I'm on the fence whether to get the physical copy for that. That's also available on the PS5. Like, there are parts of Exilia I liked, but overall, I much preferred, I think, Berseria because of how dark the story was, and just the story arc was very satisfying to see it play out over time. Exilia, I just felt like it was kind of all over the place when it comes to the narrative. So that's my small critiques as a non-Tales fan, or a newly introduced Tales player. I don't know how you would classify that, but anyway, Berseria was good. I just don't want the PS4 Hits version in my collection. Next is a game I recently just finished, and that is Mass Effect. I have the Legendary Edition here. What's cool about this is it comes with 2 discs, and no download required in order to play the entire trilogy. So far, I've just beaten the first game, and honestly, I really loved it. I don't know why I haven't played this sooner. I've been really into this, and I will be streaming Part 2, Mass Effect 2, which I hear a lot of people love the most out of the trilogy, this week. So I'm very excited for this. But another caveat I need to say when it comes to my physical collection is that I did not play the PS4 version, despite it being a wonderful physical edition. I instead played it on PC because it was like $5 for the entire trilogy when I got it on sale. And the reason for that is a lot of shooting games, I prefer using a keyboard and mouse. I do the same thing with the Resident Evil games I played and some other like Western RPGs that have guns in them, like the Outer Worlds. I always mix those 2 names up. And I'm not really sure how I feel about using a controller to operate this physical. But for now, I want to definitely hold on to this because this is the only way to get a good physical for this game. Or at least the whole trilogy that's been remastered. With Mass Effect 1, my understanding is graphically it has some, improvements, but overall it's not a major leap from what the original Xbox 360 looked like. But the biggest changes were to the vehicle, the Mako, to give it some boosts, and so it's a bit easier to explore some of the planets and climb up those mountains. And also with the combat, they made it more similar to 2 in that it was a little bit easier to, shoot accurately. It's my guess. I have not played the 360 version, so I can't speak on that. But I really did like what I played of Mass Effect 1. I thought the characters, the lore, just the whole vibe was so cool. I love sci-fi, and I've not played a lot of sci-fi RPGs. Like, I feel like I should widen my horizons there, because the ones I have played, I've really enjoyed. Another trilogy I'll be adding to the docket, and I'm pretty sure I'll be keeping this for a good long while. So, another key pile. Next, and I guess last for the stack here, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, this is one I'm still playing through on stream, because it is a long game. It's a long game. And it's very different from the first Final Fantasy VII Remake game I shared earlier. This one is complete on disc, and as you can see here, the disc is missing because I'm actually playing this one on stream. I'm not playing the PC version. I'm playing the base PS5 version. And overall, it's a good experience if you put it on performance sharp mode. I tried doing graphical mode because it looks prettier, at least for the first few streams, but then the motion sickness got to me really badly, like super bad. So I had to change it to performance sharp. And so it doesn't look quite as nice as it probably would look on the PS5 Pro or on PC. I'm glad to have this disc or this whole entire collection. And You don't need to do the patches. I know some people confuse installing data from the disk as installing data from the internet. It's actually a true physical that you'll be playing. I do think there's been some post-game patches, but they're kind of minor and not really necessary to, I think, enjoy the whole of the game. And Final Fantasy VII, this remake trilogy, has become a favorite of mine. Like, I really enjoy what they're doing with Rebirth. It's different, of course, from the original, but there's just so much detail that's been added to the world that, Final Fantasy VII takes place in. And we learn a lot more about the characters. There's so much, so many NPCs and details in the environments. It's been really cool to just explore. And it has too many mini games, I'll give it that. But you don't necessarily need to do all of them. Just, I guess, do them at first. You don't have to excel in them necessarily. But there's so much cool stuff in this. And I'm still curious how Zack is being integrated in this game. We've only had little snippets of Zack. Zack is probably my favorite Final Fantasy character. I love Crisis Core Reunion so much. And definitely my favorite Final Fantasy VII character. So looking forward to playing more of him. But right now I'm finishing up Gungaga. So to give you an idea where I am in this game on stream. And hoping to wrap this up by the end of this month. But we'll see. It's a long game. It's a very long game. But yeah, definitely we'll keeping this. If there is an improved physical down the line for both, all three parts of the remake trilogy for Final Fantasy VII, I may exchange it. But again, I got this with the deluxe version back there. You can kind of see it. So I don't really see myself exchanging this anytime soon. So another keep. But this whole exercise has really been about, making sure that my collection is at a place where I'm happy with it. And if there are things I'm not so much happy with, like the stack here, it's good to reevaluate and maybe do something about it. So in this case, I'll be probably parting with these games, but keeping these on the shelf for now. And I need to do that further with the rest of my collection, little by little. I do sense I'll probably have some sort of purge, taking out games that I don't feel motivated to play. And that is usually a signal that I don't necessarily need them in my collection. So look out for, I guess, a new video coming when I just further downsize and curate my collection. But also, I hope this exercise just motivated you guys to also play some games that have been in your backlog for a while and motivate you to, experience some peak or some great games out there. But also just reevaluate, your own collections and make sure it still makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, this hobby is supposed to make us happy. And if we're holding on to things that, make us not as happy as we'd like to be, it's sometimes best just to part with them and, clear out some space for new additions. But yeah, that's it for me. I hope you guys, again, enjoyed just briefly speaking about all these games and my feelings towards them. And if you've also done something similar this past year, have you been going through your backlog, playing through it and making sure the games, are kind of what you thought they would be? Or have you been disappointed by some of the titles that you decided to let go of? And I'd also like to take a moment to thank all of my channel members for helping support my content, including videos like these, as well as my live streams. And a big shout out to all of my Orbited Architect level members. Trin, Night Noctum, George, Just Another Joe, I'm Aki, Dan, Bryce Platinum, Scott Healy, Osmond, Steven, Fighter, Joe, Champagne Sherpa, and Adrian. Thank you so much for all your support. But that's it for this video. Thanks everyone for watching. And if you've yet to check out my Let's Play channel, I highly recommend it. It's been a good time over there. And until my next video, bye everyone.